Five, four, three, two, one. This is the J08, also known as Jeremy J. Guillory, and we have today Mr. Bobby Knows.
Bobby knows, man.
Oh yeah. So tonight we are going to be talking about ring gear and what it means to
Yes.
wrestling. How important is it that you wear the same attire every night, just so people can recognize who you are going into the ring?
Oh, it's very important, especially if it's a big match. You know, you want to look your best. You want to be completely decked out. Like when I know it's a big match and I'm going to win a title, I want the glasses, I want the coat, I want the whole 9 yards. You know, I want to look great.
Yeah. So each time a wrestler
This
comes,
bandana.
yeah, we're still working. So each time that a wrestler comes out um, before a match to do a promo, you always see them wearing um, not really ring attire, but like a shirt or something. Um, is that usually for promotional purposes, so people can go out and buy that shirt, or is that just something that y'all just normally just a random shirt that y'all pull out in the y'all's closet?
Oh, it's usually for merchandise. So,
Yeah,
you know, to look good.
that's good to know. Have you ever noticed that some wrestlers have ever came out to the ring wearing like a regular shirt, everyday shirt? I know that when Eric Rowan teamed up with Daniel Bryan, he used to wear like rock band shirts sometimes. Like one time, I think he came out wearing a Metallica shirt or something. Randy Orton, this past Friday, I think he was wearing like an independent wrestler shirt or something. Um, do you think that WWE is going lax on those things, or do you think that certain wrestlers could get into big trouble for doing that?
Well, sometimes you want to blend in with your audience. You want your audience
Yeah.
to go, "Hey, I like this guy. He likes the bands I like." You know, it's a way to get more of a drawing appeal from the audience. Or they just like, you know, this isn't a big match. I'm just gonna go out here and wear whatever, and then save my main gear for an actual match. Like sometimes it's to tell the difference between, like, if you're gonna come out at the beginning of the show and talk, and then you come out later in the match, you want to be able to tell. You want the audience to know the difference, you know.
Yeah.
So like when you're rewinding or fast forwarding or going back and forth to the show, oh, this isn't the match. This is the when he was talking on the phone or talking on the mic, you know.
Yeah. And sometimes the ring gear can also tell someone how the match is going to go. For example, Ric Flair used to wear a certain color trunks whenever he went out to the ring and he was going to win, and another pair when he was going to lose. Um, do you think that any of that could apply today in wrestling at all, or do you believe that it could be just something that they did back then?
Well, I'll be honest, nobody in the locker room or any of the trainings have ever told me to do that, but you just kind of watch veterans do that, you know.
Yeah.
I do that because it's like, okay, I'm losing this match. I'm hoping that only certain people see it. It's one of those things you don't want the promoter to know what you're doing, you know, unless the promoter says, "Hey, I want you to look your very best." You know, we're going to throw a swerve on the crowd. But like if I'm losing, I'll like, okay, I'm gonna leave my Bobby Nose shirt off in my bag, and I'm just gonna come out in my singlet that doesn't say anything, and hopefully only a few people recognize me, you know. But
Yeah.
yes, that I've done that almost every match I've ever lost, or if I'm wrestling at a different promotion than the main promotion I usually wrestle at, like a promotion that I consider not as big as the other place, to
Yeah.
protect my investment or my gimmick, I won't wear my full wrestling gear. And I have seen lots of wrestlers do that.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's part of the business where, hey, I'm wrestling tonight, but this isn't my main promotion, so I'm just
Yeah.
not going to treat it with the 100% respect. It actually happens a lot.
Yeah.
And you'll notice Bret Hart did that in WCW a lot. I mean, they could say, well, he couldn't wear that because of trademarks, but nah, he was deliberately not. He wanted to protect his old look, you know. He wanted
Yeah.
to. You just know, you know. Goldberg, he changed his trunks. You know, he went from straight black. I don't know. Sometimes, like Kevin Nash and Undertaker, you'll notice when they're both on Raw, one of them has short hair, which is usually the Undertaker. He cuts his hair. That way the crowd doesn't get Kevin Nash, the Undertaker mixed up. Because they look a lot alike. You know, they both wear black, you know.
That is true. They do look a lot like. I mean, when you see them in the match together, sometimes it's hard to tell them apart.
Yeah, they
But
look a lot. They wear the same. And I think Undertaker wore the purple in '96 so that people would know the difference. You'd wear purple with this black. You know, you'll
yeah,
just notice things that they
and
obviously paid attention to, so they would look different.
yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Kevin Nash was Diesel at that time, and he wore silver on the sides of
Yes,
his.
that way you would know the who, because not everybody that tunes. One of the main goals of wrestling, especially during that time, is they already know who their main audience is, right?
Yeah,
So their main audience is going to watch wrestling no matter what because they love wrestling. But when they're trying to sell and draw more money, they want people that don't usually watch wrestling. That's the audience they're paying attention to. So they can make, you know, so they don't want that audience getting Kevin Nash and The Undertaker mixed up. The diehard fans, they're going to know the difference no matter what gimmick you wear, you know.
yeah, and we've also seen some wrestlers get into somewhat trouble for changing their looks abruptly without letting the promotions know. Chad Gable, when he first got his hair cut, um, right when it happened, they just released a toy line of him with the long hair and the goatee. And I forget what his punishment was exactly, but that punishment I think was like a fine or something. And I don't think it was like a suspension, but he kind of got into a little bit of big trouble with that. Have you experienced any of that, anything like that?
No, no, I haven't. I mean, if the promoter directly asks you, "Hey, I need you to look your best, wear all your gear," that's a whole different. You know, it's also it's hard to explain. Like if I'm wrestling on one night and I'm the opening match or I'm the second match, they're like, "Oh, this show doesn't consider me the main event." You know, they didn't put us on a graphic flyer to promote the match, so I'm just going to wear whatever because this match is a forgotten match. But if I'm in the main event or it's been promoted for a week or two, that's when I'm going to wear everything, whether I win or lose, because I want it to look. I want the. It's telling the audience this is big deal. You know,
Yeah,
this is a big match. I I don't know if the audience pays attention to that, but as a fan, I paid attention to that when I watched wrestling. It's like, oh man, this is big. He's decked all the way out, you know.
definitely.
Um, there, I haven't seen anybody get in trouble changing their gimmick or gear. I heard about the Chad Gable situation before, but I mean that's money. I mean, if fans can't recognize you, but
Yeah.
it'd be like if Hogan, which I guess with Hogan it wouldn't really affect him. People like Hogan can wear whatever and still have the drawing effect, you know. But if you took Vader for example, Vader without the mask it doesn't work for some reason. It just but Kane can go without a mask, and I think that's because his gimmick's more of a horror, you know, Jason type of guy, and the way Kane looked spooky, whether he had the mask or not, it worked with him. But for some reason, with Vader, without the mask, it doesn't work for me anyway.
Why do you think that um, all the gimmick changes that Bray Wyatt did and all the wardrobe changes that he did actually worked for WWE more so than almost anyone else? Um,
Because if it's in a horror genre, it's the Undertaker kind of gimmick, you know, the scary guy that works with. If you're scary, you're scared. If you're supposed to look spooky, it's gonna work no matter what you look like. You know, one of the wrestlers that I just don't understand why WCW changed this. You need to look at a guy called it's Chris Canyon, Chris Champagne,
yeah.
when he was Mortis in WCW in '97. He looked like the
Oh
Gravedigger
yeah.
guy. And what's really sad is that was a big part of Nitro that they like try to keep. We had
Right.
Wrath and we had Mortis. I mean, Goldberg kind of buried Wrath when Wrath got beat by Goldberg, but Wrath and Mortis with that feud with Glacier, that could have rivaled The Undertaker and Kane. And I don't know why. And what's weird is Canyon, if WCW would have kept going on and Chris Canyon was doing the champagne, which he left us, you know, he's not with us no more. He could have went back to Mortis during the New Blood WCW run and with in a feud with Sting instead of Vampiro or something, or join the feud with them two guys. Like I don't know what they were thinking, dude, but somebody didn't get it right. I mean, you remember if you ever watched WCW Slamboree 2000, Chris Canyon went over the top rope, kind of like Mick Foley in the triple cage match. He went off the top of the cage. I met like the Hell in a Cell. If he would have been in that Mortis gimmick, like, dude, this could have went so. This was money that WCW was really missing out on, and I don't understand. You know, I don't understand what happened there, but that is something that needs to be looked into. I think he was
It's
being ribbed in the back by the boys or the locker room or something. Like, why would you change your awesome gimmick in a time of the Undertaker and Kane? All right, enough
it
of that. We'll
is.
talk about that some other day, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's something to look into.
Yeah. So another gimmick from WCW that no one, probably very few, really talk about nowadays, um, and that was Dustin Rhodes' seven gimmick. If you remember
Yes.
that, um, I was about six, maybe 8 or 9 years old at the time, and I just remember seeing it on TV. And they aired those vignettes of him with the kid looking out the window and things. I was thinking, that was a really cool gimmick. Then later on that night, they just have him coming on, floating in the midair, all the way down to the ring, and um, he just has a promo going on. But the problem was on my end, even though that it was just me and my brother and his friends watching it, we would always have the TV down so low because we were downstairs, and right above us was our grandparents' room. And if we have the TV too loud, then they would hear it. So, out of respect, we would turn down the TV. At that time, I could barely hear what he was saying. And I did not realize that he was actually trashing his own gimmick at that time and things. And after that, I was like, where's this guy here? And who is this guy?
Well,
You know?
I say the problem with the Seven Dust gimmick, as far as a business point of view, is when you do stuff like that and look like the Undertaker, you're promoting the other show. You know, you're getting the fans thinking about the Undertaker because you look too much like the Undertaker. So you're defeating the purpose of bringing business to WCW because you look like the Undertaker. You're trying to look like the Undertaker. I mean, he wasn't looking like the Undertaker, but he had the. So I don't think that was a great idea at all. And I've met Dustin Rhodes in person, by the way. I've been to some of his training. Nice guy, great guy. I just would have went with Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
Like Dustin Rhodes is a famous wrestling name, and I know it's working for him over there in AEW with the makeup and stuff like that. But you're Dustin Rhodes. Your name says it all. Your dad was the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Yes.
Just be Dusty Rhodes, man. You know, deja vu, Dusty Rhodes. You know, that would have worked too. I mean, Goldust was great, but I think they kind of Goldust was great, but when he started doing like the cock thing he did, that was some of the worst acting ever, dude. I hated that when he did the saying I didn't like that at all.
I think he looked very uncomfortable with that as
Yeah,
well.
I didn't like it. It looked so. It's like, dude, you're Dustin Rhodes, man, and he's had a long career, dude. He was wrestling Steve Austin back in WCW before Steve Austin got 360, got big, and his dad's. Yeah. They're going to be talking about his dad for the next 20 years, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. I just was wondering how Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes ran neck and neck like that for years, but somehow Ric Flair kept going as this iconic guy, and then for a few years, though, it'd be like you almost forgot who Dusty Rhodes was, but now they're still talking about him, and it's like they're remembering how important he was to wrestling, Back to the gimmicks.
Yes. So, when it comes to the gimmicks, and the ring gear, how important is the color of the gear itself whenever you do the promos and when you're a heel versus a face?
I don't know. I mean, you don't want to look all. It just depends on who's wrestling. Like, if Coco Beware would have turned heel, which I'm not sure what he did or didn't, it would be important that he looked the same. I don't think he could have changed colors a whole lot, Yeah. That bright colors, that was Coco Beware. With Hogan, I guess we never got the heel yellow and red run. He went right to the black and white. They kind of let the audience know, hey, I'm a heel. With the Ultimate Warrior, if he would have went heel, I don't think that would have worked because you've already got Sting doing the black and white thing. What could the Warrior really have done to change his colors? He would have had to look the same. It wouldn't have worked, Yeah.
So, speaking of Hogan, when he formed the NWO, in WCW, when he first did it, he was wearing the red and yellow at
for one night.
For one night. If he had came out wearing the NWO black and white gear, do you think that it would have been less impactful of a surprise, or?
I don't know, because when they were promoting the NWO at the very beginning, they didn't really make a big deal about the black and white. If you watch Kevin Nash and Scott Hall at that Bash of the Beach match, they're not wearing black and white.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would have mattered what Hogan wore. He could have came out in street clothes. It was the fact that he dropped the leg on Savage. Unfortunately, in that particular match, it wouldn't have mattered if he what color, because when you're Hogan, you can wear whatever you want to wear. It doesn't.
Yeah.
The colors is not. It did in the '80s, but at that time, he could have wore whatever. And it wouldn't have really mattered a whole lot. It did matter, but not as much. Not enough to where it wouldn't have been a big impact.
That is true. That is true. But looking back at it, when I watch it, and I try to watch it as it is, as if it was live, and I'm not, and I'm trying to act like I don't know what's about to happen, and try to watch that entire match by itself. I think that the yellow and red portion of it holds away from the surprise of it, because if he came in wearing black and white, the first thing that I would be saying is, why is Hogan wearing black and white? Why isn't he coming out in his yellow and red? And then he drops a leg drop. You know, it's gonna be probably less surprising to me versus with him wearing the red and yellow and red. And try to, even now watching it, to see.
Well, that goes
Yeah.
back to the diehard fans and fans that don't watch it all the time. Because a
Yeah.
couple of months before that, about 6 months, Hogan was wearing black attire when he was wrestling the Giant. He was doing the Legion of Doom thing,
Yeah.
and he wore the mask. So people that would have known about that, and somebody like me who was a major Hogan fan, Hogan was my favorite, back then.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have. I still would have been cheering him. I was cheering him when he was in the NWO. So I guess to me the colors wouldn't matter. But I can see what you're saying when you go back and watch it. You know, you kind of want him to wear the red and yellow before he does the turn on the audience, but because he was coming out as if he was going to save the Macho Man. But to be honest with you, it still would have worked either way. I really think it would have worked if he wore street clothes, black and white, because it was a whole. It was just the timing was right. It was perfect. He did something different. It was perfect. And we could talk a lot about that particular night, what was going on there, but it would have worked either way with me. I mean, Hogan's that big of a star. I mean, you would have known if he's a good or bad guy, regardless of his colors. But like other wrestlers, it would matter what they're wearing. It would be a big deal.
So, other things that we can talk about with the wrestling gimmicks, and the gear, lucha libre and jet pen wrestling, with their masks and things. How important is the design, are the designs for when you're going out there, or for lucha libres, or even mass wrestlers in general, to have their designs to fit their character?
I think it's very important for. It's like when you go buy a ticket and see your favorite band and they don't play all the songs. Don't you hate that? Like one of the songs you want to hear, they didn't play all the songs. That's what it was like with Rey Mysterio Jr. when he took his mask off. It did not work, in my opinion. You didn't play all this. You don't got the mask on. Now, Juventud Guerrero, it worked. I don't know how it worked with Juventud, but it didn't work with me. Like Hoovy took the mask off. I thought it was the best thing he did because he had that. I don't know if you remember. He did this awesome move that I wish I could bring back. I might use it in a match. I'm supposed to wrestle later. Yeah. He'd pick him up in a scoop slam, to go for a scoop slam, and he would drive him down, and he would sit out. It was an awesome move. I love that move. And his long hair and everything, just the mask took away from that devastating move. So I was glad that Juventud took his mask off. It worked. But with Rey Mysterio Jr., it did not work. When he took the mask off, I was like, put your mask back on, man. That's my opinion. But it didn't work with Mysterio. It was very important for Mysterio to keep that mask on because it's part of his look. Yeah. Psychosis. He couldn't have took the mask off. It wouldn't have worked. But for some reason with Hoovy, it worked.
Yeah. I think there was more reasons than just that on why Rey Mysterio put the mask back on back in when he went to WWE. He has even stated that it has something to do with tradition and the way that they stipulated him losing his mask and things didn't go towards lucha tradition, Mexican style wrestling and things. I'm That's gonna be talked about for another subject. Probably if we ever come down to the lucha libre style.
Well, anytime you see a luchador wrestler, Rey Mysterio crosses your mind. He's what you call the measuring stick of luchador wrestlers now. Every time you see anybody wearing a mask, they're like, oh, it's a Rey Mysterio Jr. ripoff or a lookalike. That's why I'm saying him taking off the mask doesn't work. He has to have the mask on.
Yes.
For some reason, Kane could do it. Juventud Guerrero could do it, but Rey Mysterio Jr. got to have that mask on. Yeah. It just has to be that way.
Do you think that the colors of the masks, of any mask really, should actually matter to the gimmick or to the wrestler?
Not with Rey Mysterio Jr. I mean, if he had a real bright, well, he's wore all the colors, so not.
I think he's also worn a black mask before, even though he was he's always been a face.
Another wrestler I want to mention that has to have a mask, La Parka. That wouldn't work. I mean, if he took the mask off, he wouldn't be La Parka no more.
Now, some other wrestlers that need to be mentioned that had the mask that had good gimmicks to it would be Jushin Tiger Liger, Sin Cara for a little bit, Mystico. They've also had Dragon Lee. There's some other big name Japanese guys. El Tiger or Tiger Mask, I believe. There's several guys that have been there. El Santo from the early Mexican days. If you ever Google him, he was always known to wear his mask, and he did several movies just wearing the mask. And supposedly they kept that tradition for the mask wearing because of him. Because the one time that he actually took his mask off after he retired on live TV, he just did this real quick. A week later, he had a heart attack and passed away. So,
man,
so they said that him doing that kind of was a curse for the
lucha. I was thinking, curses do exist.
Yes.
I believe in curses, man. They do exist.
Yeah.
I don't believe in them. I'm aware of them, but they happen.
Yes.
I want to mention somebody like Scott Steiner in the year 2000. He had injury to his nose, they claimed, and he wore this black cover. And it looked badass in that match with Goldberg at Fall Brawl 2000. And you could call it a different gimmick almost. Yeah. But it was like he wore this black thing protecting his knows it, and it kind of worked. I liked it. You should
Yeah.
check it out.
It's
Another
very
person that could wear different stuff, different gimmicks, and get away with it was Brutus the Beefcake.
yeah.
He went through so many gimmicks. Beefcake the Barber, Brother Brutai, the Zodiac, the Booty Man. The Booty Man to me was probably his biggest, most impressive gimmick. He was the disciple. He became the disciple. I mean, this guy went through so many gimmicks, and it kind of worked for him because nobody went, "Oh, that's Brutus the Beefcake Barber." I don't think no one paid attention. Only diehard fans knew it was him. He could wear all these gimmicks. When he did the disciple in WCW, nobody knew that was Brutus the Beefcake Barber because he looked completely different. I mean, he had slimmed all the way down.
Yes. Um, we probably briefly talked about this just now, but do you think that the color black should be just synonymous for heels, or do you think that faces can wear black attire as well?
Oh, imagine The Rock if he wore pink all the time. Yeah, black can go for heel or face. Maybe way back in the day, in the 80s, you had to have black would have worked for heel only.
Yeah.
But after Austin and The Rock and the Attitude Era, black can go for face or heel, you know.
And you said earlier on here that whenever you come out to the ring for a title match, you want to be all decked out and things. And when you're in a minor match or when you're about to lose, you just want to come out in your singlet.
Yeah.
How soon, when you know the outcome of the match, how much does that impact on your attire when you're actually packing up and getting ready to leave for that match?
It just crosses my mind when I'm getting, dressed back there.
Yeah.
I will tell myself, "Oh man, I'm gonna put this guy over, but I'm not gonna wear my Bobby Nose gear where it's me, but it's not Bobby Nose, you know."
Yeah. Do you
Because I can
ever?
go with Bobby Bristow too.
Yeah. So let's say that you're going to be promoted into a match about 6 months ahead of time, and the promoter already tells you the outcome of it. Do you have a say so as to how you want to look for that match ahead?
Well, unless the promoter says otherwise, but believe it or not, a lot of people in wrestling, and I hate to say this, are haters.
Yeah.
And they don't want to even acknowledge that your gear matters. So even though they probably want you to look uh, a certain way, they're not going to give you the props that it matters what you look like. But
Yeah.
to me, and any kind of fans, and to when I watch the video, it does matter what I look like. So
Yeah.
there's no friends in wrestling. Remember that.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest with you. There's no real friends in wrestling. If they go, "Hey, I want you to look a certain way," that could go to your head. You're like, "Oh, you saying I look good like that?"
Yeah.
Now, if you're in the big leagues like WWE, and there's a bunch of money on the line, they might, say, "Hey, I need you to look your best," But I've never actually heard anybody be told to look a certain way,
Okay.
except what you're saying about Chad Gable when he cut his hair.
Yeah. Yeah. And for retirement matches, how important is it for the how important is it for the gear to be a certain way for a retirement match? I mean, I know for the one retiring, they wanted to go all out and have
Yeah,
their gear on as the perfect way as they can go. We saw that with Ric Flair's retirement matches. We saw that with John Cena's. I can't really comment on AJ Styles's retirement gear because when he came out for the Royal Rumble for that last match, he just came in out in his regular ring attire, and that was like what the second or third match, I believe, and um, no one would be able to look at him and say, yes, this is going to be his retirement match for that. Now, that's not to say that he's going to come out few months down the line and have a natural retirement tour at other promotions like New Japan, TNA, and in AEW. Um, what is the from your experience in working with masked wrestlers and face paint wrestlers? Is there a big difference to you when you're facing a guy that wears a mask versus wearing face paint all the time?
No, it doesn't matter. I I mean, I've noticed when I've wrestled guys with makeup, I get makeup on my elbows or somewhere on my body. But what's interesting is if they're wearing black and white, it'll look like a bruise. Like I wrestled one match, and his makeup got on my arm, but I wrestled twice that night. So when I went back out the second time, it looked like a bruise from the previous match, even though it was makeup.
Yeah.
So I guess the makeup's kind of cooler than the mask, but with the mask you can take off, if that's the mask gimmick. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
happened before where the black paint got on my arm, and from a distance it looked like a big bruise, which reminded the audience that I had wrestled twice that night.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
Okay. And do you believe that it really matters to their gimmick as to if they wear a mask versus face paint? Um, like when Sting and Ultimate Warrior, they would always wear the face paint and things. If they ever came out and wearing a mask or something, do you think that that would cause any harm or anything?
Well, the Warrior did wear a mask on his last appearance on Raw,
Yeah.
and I wish he would have wore the makeup.
Yeah.
I know he was in bad health, and God forgive me for saying this, but why couldn't he have just ran to the ring at the Hall of WrestleMania 30 just one more time, jog to the ring and go around? That would have been so cool. I hated when he came out and tried to look like a suit and tie guy. You're the
Yeah.
ultimate warrior. We've been waiting for years to see you come back.
Yes.
Give us one more run.
And do you think that if there would be any point in someone that a masked wrestler to wear face paint underneath the mask at all, or makeup underneath the mask?
I think that would be very. Who did that? Somebody did that. Sting. I've seen Sting do that. Take off the mask and then have paint underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
works.
That's
That's kind
that's
of cool
his.
because you could get your mask taken off and still have the makeup on.
Yeah. That's his
Yeah.
gimmick there. Um, I think Justin Liger used to whenever he would change his character in mid match or something, there was some kind of gimmick thing that he would do where he would just rip off his mask or something, and would rip off part of his costume in the process, and would reveal this big face painted demon, and it would just say that, and they would just say that it would just unleash more fury than the Liger thing. Um, I think that that was one of the things. The Great Muda, I think, would come out wearing face paint and a mask at the same time.
I
Sometimes as
I
well.
remember when Kurt Angle got his hair cut off, right?
Yeah.
And he had to wear like and it worked. It would have been awesome if he would have kept doing this. He wore wrestling headgear, right,
Yeah.
to keep his wig on. And then during the match, he would be embarrassed by his wig being taken off. because he was bald headed.
Yeah.
That was great TV. They should have kept doing that. He should have kept doing that
Yeah.
throughout his career. That's a whole different gimmick there, where you got the hair in the beginning of the match, and then through the match, the audience knows you're going to get your wig pulled off.
Yeah.
That's entertainment.
How important is it for a wrestler to have hair? Um,
Well, with
overall.
Steve Austin, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't have worked. He did the gimmick with long hair, and he's got to be bald.
Yeah.
It would have robbed him of a.
Yeah.
But with somebody like Shawn Michaels has to have hair or it doesn't work. He doesn't. Yes. The bald look doesn't work with Shawn Michaels for me. Yeah. He's got to have long hair.
No, it doesn't.
Triple H could do both, though. Triple H could pull it off, but Shawn Michaels, no. Shawn Michaels has to have long hair.
When it comes to hair matches, I'm not sure if this is still remaining in the gear and the gimmick portion of it, but the hair does contribute to your look in things. How much planning beforehand has to go into the match in order to do a hair versus hair mask or a hair versus mask match, where you know that you're going to go in and you're about to go get your head shaved off or something.
I've never been in one of those matches, and that's something I should look into when I grow my hair back out, if I do. So I couldn't really answer that one from experience. Yeah. All I can say is I hated when Kevin Nash got his hair shaved off by Jericho.
Yeah.
Nash, you got to have long hair. I don't like that.
Yes.
Why would they do that, Because when he went to TNA, it really downplayed when he first went to TNA that he had short hair.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think they just kind of pick what's going to be the least impact, like McMahon and Trump. You should have known Trump wasn't getting his head shaved off. That was a given that it was going to be Vince that got his head shaved off.
Yeah, that is true. But they could have also had the gimmick where Trump does shave off his hair, and things.
You would have had to. Yeah. You would have had to pay him a lot of money. In reality, if you ever seen Darth Vader, when the mask comes down.
Yeah.
Where they're barely showing you what Darth Vader looks like in the little room.
Yeah.
I think that's what Trump looks like. I don't think that's Trump's real hair. No, I shouldn't say that. I've always thought about that, what Trump would look like without the hair. He would look like Darth Vader in Star Wars without the mask.
Yeah. And should wrestlers ever try to tell the promoters ahead of time, saying, like, for instance, if your beard gets too thick or anything, would you need to tell the promoter ahead of time, saying, hey, my neck is getting irritated with my beard hair. Can I go ahead and shave it off or anything? Or should we do a storyline?
Yes, you do need to tell your promoter, because if you look different when you come out to the show and it impacts the audience, it's going to affect what the promoter wants to do. Your look can affect booking decisions.
Yeah. So, for another example is, let's say your wife wants you to get a haircut and you have a match the next night. How do you actually proceed with that request for that situation? How do you handle that situation?
When you're a professional wrestler, in my opinion, you live a double life almost. You belong to the audience. you have a responsibility to deliver to the crowd that made you a pro wrestler. Wife's just gonna have to get mad. No, I don't. That doesn't always work, does it? It's a big deal what you look like. Like, imagine if Scott Hall. Well, some people can get away with the look. You know, when you're on TV, the audience will forgive you, but it's a big deal to give a heads up or maybe take some time off. You know, a couple of months before that would be the time to cut your hair.
Yeah.
One of the most memorable times for me is when the Ultimate Warrior returned to WrestleMania 8 to 92. His hair really affected how the audience thought it was somebody else. They didn't think it was him because he cut his hair short and it didn't work. It didn't work at all, or he wouldn't have grew it back out. You know.
Yeah. There have been several instances where people have changed their looks, and uh, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Um, Overall,
Triple H was able to pull it off.
yeah,
He pulled it off, and Undertaker pulled it off. Though I prefer the Undertaker to have long hair, it just
yeah,
seems more like the Undertaker. You know,
yeah,
Roman Reigns cutting his hair. I don't think that would. I don't. I'd have to get used to that. I don't. I wouldn't like that a whole lot.
yeah. Um, Roman Reigns does have cancer and leukemia, and he has taken time off for those treatments and things. And I'm very surprised that it really hasn't affected his hair as much. But do you think that if it gets, if the chemotherapy ever gets too severe, to where he does start losing a lot of his hair, do you think that it would be very noticeable for the fans to?
Yes, and I think they would forgive him really quick because he's already lived a great career. He's already passed. I wouldn't say passed the torch to Cody Rhodes, but he's already, lost at Mania. He's already won at Mania. He's already lived a full career. He could retire right now, and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, go down as a legend or an icon. So
Yeah,
he didn't really get to me reach the fan base like The Rock and Austin did, but he got he's up there on the John Cena level. The only difference with Roman Reigns and John Cena is John Cena can lose a bunch of matches and still be John Cena. Roman Reigns can't just lose every match like that and still the fans. I don't think so anyway. Uh, yeah, I think the fans would forgive him. It actually would be kind of a good, you know, new starter, fresh. But I hope he doesn't cut his hair because it just. The idea was they wanted The Rock with long hair, and that's what Roman Reigns is.
right, right. And after the hair matches, we've also seen the wrestlers get a little bit embarrassed for showing their bald head sometimes, and it's always very funny to watch it. Did you ever see the ladder match between CM Punk and Big Show when CM Punk had his straight edge mask on and he was reaching up for something? It was a ladder match or something, and he was reaching up for something. Big Show grabs him and just yanks the mask off and just look at the camera, and he just smiles at the camera, holding CM Punk's bald head, first exposing it. Um, do you remember that moment, and what was your initial reaction to that?
I'll be honest, I haven't seen that. If I did see it, I don't remember it.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
no, no big deal, no big deal. It was on SmackDown anyway, so yeah. Um, let's see, some other big time reveals I can't remember was when Vince when Bobby Lashley pulled off that fedora off of Vince McMahon to expose his bald head. Um, and most of the time with Vince McMahon and also CM Punk, you notice that they have not grown their hair out ever since then. CM
Yeah,
Punk,
Vince has never got his look back
no.
for whatever reason. Neither has Triple H. He grew his hair back out either. I figured Triple H would have grew it out by now.
In a way, it could be due to um, the male um, aging balding. The term just slipped my mind just now, but yeah, there is some conditions in certain males where male parent baldness, where the hair just starts falling out periodically, and when it gets too thin, you have to shave it off just to hide the patches and things. So
Shawn
that
Michaels
way,
had that.
yes, yes. So you know, supposedly with Kurt Angle, that's the reason why he had chose his hair mat to lose his hair match, was because he was balding and he wanted a way to get his hair shaved off without it ruining his gimmick or anything.
Well, it
Uh,
worked with him. I think he
yeah,
looked meaner with his hair shaved off. You know, he looked
definitely.
badder. You know,
Imagine,
Jeff Jarrett looked like a younger, more modern wrestler when he cut his hair. See, with Jeff Jarrett, he's better with short hair. It just works better for him. But Jericho, I like him with long hair, but it works both ways.
imagine Mick Foley without any hair.
Yeah, I don't like that. See,
Yeah,
and he did shave it real short one time.
yeah,
He's got the ear halfway off. Yeah,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm
yeah,
just saying,
yeah.
Mick Foley's got to have long hair.
Definitely.
Man, I don't think they're ever going to make another Mick Foley. I don't think we're ever
No,
going to get matches like that, dude. I don't know
no,
how they're going to pull that off. I don't think there'll ever be Mick Foley kind of matches anymore.
yeah.
It won't be the same.
Yeah. I just named him because that's the only wrestler that I know of right now, off the top of my head, with big, long, bushy out hair. Um, Other than the Wild Samoans right now, and
We've determined it works with
yeah,
some people it don't.
definitely it
Cutting
does.
their hair, it just doesn't work with.
Yeah,
I didn't like it when Lex Luger cut his hair, but it worked. I mean,
yeah,
John Cena with long hair, that
yeah,
would be goofy, because we see him on TV. Everybody knows the John Cena look.
yes,
If he grew his hair out and look, that would look dumb. I mean, it would work maybe, but it would look
yeah.
dumb.
So when it comes to John Cena always comes out with pretty much the same shirt but a different color every time. And The Rock has even joked when they were feuding that he looked like a box of fruity pebbles.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
tough. I remember that.
yes. So, um, do you think that it really matters on what color shirts that John Cena wears or anything at that time, or why do you think that he would always come out with a different color?
John Cena was the main business, from what I understand, was the younger audience. He was trying to look cartoonish for the little kids.
So, um, another thing with John Cena is that even though his retirement match was really good, as good as it could be, um, thinking about the Fruity Pebbles thing, I think what would have been better would be if he had just came out just one time wearing a shirt with all the colors that he's ever worn, like a rainbow um, John Cena
Well,
shirt.
I don't know if that would work nowadays because of The rainbow kind of represents something different nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work. I wouldn't say a rainbow.
Yeah, yeah, but just a mixture of all the colors that he's ever wore, um, in straight lines. It doesn't necessarily be in the rainbow order, but just like in order of the times that he's wore it to make it look.
He usually takes his shirt off and
Yeah,
wrestles in short jean shorts. So
jorts. So yeah,
yeah, I don't.
but
It would work. He's only going to wear it for
yeah,
walking out to the ring, so or
yeah,
jogging or whatever he runs the ring.
yeah,
So yeah, he could wear multiple colors.
yeah. Was there
But
ever, yeah, was there ever a time where you had been told to wear something by a promoter and you would just look at it and think, this is the most ridiculous outfit I have ever seen?
no, I haven't had that happen to me yet. I'm sure other people have, but not me so far. No,
Okay.
I've wore different. My very first debut, I wore white and black. I wore a white shirt with black, and I never wore that again. I've never wrestled another show where I've wore white and black. Just that first wrestling show. After that, it was the black and white or blue. I did come out in a nice blue shirt, blue white that said Bobby Knows, and I've only wore that one time. I don't know what happened to that shirt, but most of the time I wore the black with the white. But I could wear different colors. I've thought about, like, a lot of people thought the blue coat meant that I was a Democrat or something, and it has nothing to do with that. I wore that. Well, it worked for me at a match in Arkansas. It was my first main event, actually. Well, one of my first main events. I was wearing blue, and the crowd was there for a Donald Trump rally. That
Yeah.
he Trump had already came and left, and this was like the leftover rally fans or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I used that to my advantage, and they thought I was a Democrat, and it worked. I was using the Democrat and Trump thing. I'll send the match to you. I don't know if Trump was there, but it was a Republican rally for Donald Trump. So everybody there was, you know, they hated me because they thought I was a Democrat because of my blue coat.
Yeah.
I'll send the match to you.
It's
It was outside.
yeah.
That was like 2020.
True. True. Yeah. I mean, yeah, wearing blue to a place that's generally red based, they generally don't like that and things. And I'm like, well, what if the person comes out wearing purple? You know, and
Well, I
you know,
used it for my advantage because it was the city, the town we was in was known for voting Republican, and I had that blue
yeah,
coat on, and I didn't know what else to say except vote Joe Biden. And oh man, the crowd just started hating on me. It worked
yeah,
though; it was awesome.
yeah,
And the other guy had like military camos on, so
yeah,
it kind of looked like he was beating up the blue liberal guy. Even though
yeah,
I
yeah.
I'll keep my
I
political views to
yeah.
myself.
So yes. Are there any do's or don'ts in ring attire, ring gear?
No, I've seen everything. I've seen guys dressed like women, women dressed like men. No,
Yeah.
I mean you can't come out naked, of course. You got to wear something.
I would not want to see someone coming out naked.
I
Like
don't think
the
anybody does.
yeah,
Well, some of them anyway.
yeah,
We've
yeah,
seen Sable. We hate to mention this. I know this is not. She was wearing some kind of like it was fully loaded 2000 or fully loaded 99. She took off her shirt to expose herself, but she was wearing makeup or something, and It
it was
worked because
some kind of,
you really didn't see anything. I mean,
it
you
was
did, but
kind of latex tape or something, the size of a handprint over itself. But
yeah, and you really didn't see anything. So
yeah, yeah,
it was almost like she was wearing something. I mean, if you wanted to see, no, never mind. I'll keep it to myself. This is a podcast.
yeah, yeah.
But
You
yeah,
can,
that's pretty much that's a different kind of gear there, but it worked. I mean, you didn't really see anything, you know. I just remember
you,
Jerry the King Lawler, you know, puppies, you know.
yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna put it in the images or
No,
anything.
no, no.
Yeah, for that. But yeah, if y'all want to see that,
We had to mention it. You know, it's part of the
yeah,
gimmick
yeah, yeah. Y'all can Google it. Y'all can Google it. Just Google Sable
here.
bikini,
Fully
and I'm
loaded
pretty
ninety
sure.
nine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's there. Sable bikini. Just look that up. Other than that, um, what do we have for next week?
Bobby knows, man. We should talk about No Way Out or the Elimination Chamber or whatever you want to do. You're the boss, man. Bobby
Yeah,
knows everything, you know.
yeah.
Super Brawl, you know. Let's do a WCW show.
We could look at I could look up some WCW topics. Um, and that, and I'm also trying to be in negotiation with a former WWE referee to find time to actually talk to him about referees and officials, and potentially about wrestling schools, to come on the show whenever he has time. Actually, um, he's got a very busy schedule, so I kind of understand what's all going on. Um, Family life can be really difficult, especially with a 1 year old running around there. So it's going to be very interesting whenever I bring him on. Um, Next month, we are also going to be talking about El Chico.